you talk about this coaches meeting that you have. How tough was it to watch a 5-point or a 5-point win, so to speak, kind of escape in that final 2 minutes, and what's the lesson in a game like that?
Right. Well, it's tough, and that's one reason why I was meeting with the coaches so long is because I was asking them, what do I need to do? Because I feel like that this is on me. I'm not doing a good enough job coaching, getting our players prepared to play, not helping them through these situations as much as I'd like to be able to. It's not from a lack of effort. But I just have not been able to figure out a way to help these young kids as much as I would like to. So that was what the conversation was about mostly, is what do we say to them, because we can't lose them. And some of them are bearing every bit of this on their shoulders, and to try to make them understand that you can only control certain things. And when you push the winning and losing to the side, what are you doing? And if you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm doing all I can do, then that's all you can do. But we just have some kids on this team that are not used to losing, so they are bearing every bit of it on their shoulders, and I'm trying to take that off of them. So, again, I'm still learning and growing, so I go to my staff and say, what do I need to say? What do I need to do to help them? Because it's all about me helping them. If it's if these losses that are adding up are anybody's fault, it's on me. It's not on the kids at all. It's my job to bear that burden.
Defensively, playing really well. I mean, I guess you maybe could play better, but playing well enough to win defensively. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've given up 65 points the last 2 games. I mean, this team does buy into defensive situations and scout. Now, we do some bonehead things at times where we don't follow the scout, or we give up straight line drives or offensive rebounds and things like that. But defensively, if you'd asked me, if you hold your opponents to this many points a game this year, you're going to be successful, and I'd have said absolutely. But then I didn't realize that we were going to have so much trouble scoring the basketball. So, offense and those type of things can be figured out as somewhat with what the personnel you have, or going out and recruiting what you need. So I mean, those are things that could be taken care of. But a lot of times defensive effort's just all about heart. And so to know that our kids are willing to do that on the defensive end, if we could just figure out a way to make our offense better, then we feel good about where we're going.
I don't want to keep picking at a tough moment there, but Outlaw seems like the type of guard that we've repeatedly seen on different teams. I believe it was Bell against SIU Edwardsville. Smaller guards that have been able to penetrate and attack this defense. How do you guys challenge your team to answer the call when those smaller guards are putting up 17, 18, 30
points? Yeah. Well, we show film. And it's much as Coach Juwan made a good point. He said the effort's there the majority of the time. He said sometimes it's not. Sometimes we have moments where we don't give as much effort as maybe we need to. He said, but it's the execution. When we go over this stuff every single day, don't give middle, be in your gaps, stop the ball first. They're not a shooting team. And so a lot of times it's execution as much as anything. And I think it's a lack of mental toughness and preparation of what do I need to do on each play, because we'll go through stretches where defensively we are on point, we are right where we're supposed to be, we make great stops, and then we go down, we can't score. Well, then you come back down, and then you have those lapses, and then they score, and then here we go. I mean, giving up 30 points to one player is not ideal, and it's definitely not in my wheelhouse of things to do, but again, they scored 65 points. So we can beat the dog about the defensive end of the floor, but ultimately we can't score. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. But I think it's as much of execution as anything.
On the offensive end, what do you think the problem is?
We don't have that third score. And we don't even have third score by committee. It doesn't seem like, Macy and Evelyn are getting their points and their averages most nights, but we're not getting that third and even fourth score. Macy's taking this hard, and she's putting a lot of it on herself. And I read her stats off to her this morning when I met with her. And I said, name me another freshman in the country that's averaging 15.5 points a game, 3.7 assists, and 3.3 rebounds. I said, you're going to be hard-pressed to find that. I said, but I promise you, if there is a freshman in the country that's averaging that, they're not in my office this morning because they're upset because you're not doing enough to help us win. That's who she is. Evelyn, averaging a double-double. You know, are either one of those kids perfect? No, they make mistakes. You know, one of Macy's problems is her turnovers, and we talked about that. She's turning the ball over too much, but she has the ball in her hand 90% of the time. So, you know, you got to give and take a little bit. But we just don't have other people that are stepping up and consistently scoring the basketball for us. Our shooting percentages are terrible. You know, they're getting open shots. There's a reason that they're open, and they've got to make those shots. So it's just a collective, it's going to have to be a collective unit of figuring out who that third scorer is going to be, and it may be somebody different every single night, but we have to have it. We're not scoring enough. 61 points isn't enough points to score to win in Division I basketball, and we've been sitting around that number lately.
Do you feel like Janika can be that third scorer, and why do you think maybe she's struggled so far?
I thought coming into the season that she would be. Her shooting struggles, you know, it's hard to tell. She gets to the basket, she's not finishing at the basket. You know, she's shooting 61% from the free throw line as a guard. So I don't really know. You know, all I can do is continue to try to give her confidence, you know, try to encourage her to get in the gym and work on those things. But we just aren't when our other two players draw so much attention. There's always going to be two people around Macy. There's always going to be two people around Evelyn. That allows the ball to be moved to people that are open. Those people have to make those shots. And that's just something that we haven't done consistently.
Tell us about Jacksonville State. I know in the standings, a game behind them. This is huge. You tie them, win a tiebreaker if needed. So this is a big one Thursday night.
It is a big one, and I mean we've got to move on and past the disappointment and get ready, you know. And we've got to figure out a way not only to win games, but now win games on the road. It's never over till it's over, and we're going to continue to fight and continue to prepare our players each and every night. But the ability to go and kind of hold your fate in your own hands, I think, is something that's good. You can't hope other people lose or other people beat people. You got to go out and take care of business yourself. So Thursday night's a great opportunity for us to get ourselves back in the mix.
In a season where you've said there was little room for error, how much smaller has that room gotten, if there is any room left?
Well, turnovers and offensive rebounds have been our Achilles heel this year. Every game, we as a staff, we've charted. Every game that we have held our turnovers and offensive rebound totals, points off those, under 25, we've won the game. When that number gets above 25, we don't win the game. So if you go back and you look at all the games, I mean, I don't know how many games we've lost by 10 points or less, but all the difference in the world is we turn the basketball over or we give up offensive possessions. And so that just goes to show you how small our margin of error is. Now that we've put ourselves behind the 8 ball, I think that margin of error does get smaller. And a lot of this we have done to ourselves at times. You know, we've been beat by teams that are better than us, don't get me wrong. But I think when you go back and you look at film and you look at stats and you look at situations, a lot of this we've brought on ourselves.
You talk about you being a rookie and still new to this. This is your second year, but how do you feel like you've grown to this point through these experiences when you're going through this a second time?
Well, I just think that, you know, the things that I've learned is that, you know, it's not going to happen overnight, even though you want it to, even though you want these players to see the success. That's something that's hard for me, that they don't see the success and that they take it upon them. It's just a grind. I mean, a season as a whole is a grind, and especially if things aren't going as well as you want them to. So you got to figure out a way. You got to keep the mentality up. You've got to keep the camaraderie up, the confidence up in any way that you can. So I've just kind of learned that meeting with the kids and taking their temperature and trying to help them along the way, seeing what I can do to help them, has been something that's been helpful. And so far, since this morning, I've met with about 5 or 6 of them. I've got scheduled meetings with the rest of them, and just to remind them that I believe in them and that they need to stop blaming themselves and understand that I will take that blame for them, that I've got to do a better job of coaching them, and just hope that we can continue to understand that there is a lot of season left. But it's not only that we are working towards the rest of this season. We have a very young team. So we've got to find growth and find ways to get better for the future as well.
Tennessee State, again, I know I'm not trying to continue to harp on that game, but they seemed content on playing man-to-man for at least the first part of that first quarter. You guys got up 19-10, and and then they took the same scout that a lot of other teams have done and started pressuring you guys. I know you're coaching that in the off week and things like that, but why do you think your team is struggling on the doubles and things like that come at the half court?
Well, I mean, we just mentally aren't logged in to what we're trying to do. And again, I think a lot of our turnovers are unforced. I think that some of them are forced and some of them are not forced. And I think it's just, we just get in, I think our confidence goes down when one bad play leads to another. We work on it all the time. We worked on press offense leading up to Tennessee State. We knew they were going to press us. And I can't simulate that type of athleticism in practice either. And that's part of it. Is it's easier for Macy to throw out of a trap of her own teammates than it is when we go play these more athletic, bigger teams than us. And so a lot of that's just going to be some growing pains. I mean, once you've gone through a year, once you understand the difference between a high school athlete and a Division I athlete, then, you learn and you grow through that. But it's very difficult for me to simulate that for them. So I think part of our problem is that we're facing different type of athletes than we're used to, and we haven't quite learned how to adjust to that. Those passes that would go in high school or that would go in junior college, which is what we have. We either have high school kids playing or junior college kids playing a lot of the minutes. Well, those passes don't go in D1. So we're still trying to figure that out. But again, that's on me to try to make them understand and do the best I can, even if it's just film work or just slowly walking each person through the process of what they're looking for on the press offense. So I just got to do better.